Hello, in today's lesson we're going to go over the car particle asking questions in Japanese as well as how are you. I'm shoving them both into one lesson because they're both kind of short. We can cover them quite quickly. Just a note for now, we're going to do the car particle as asking questions. In the future, there'll be some other uses for it, such as or. But in this lesson, we're just going to go over asking questions. Let's go. So, literally car, works like a question mark. It indicates that the sentence is a question. It is placed at the end of a sentence like a question mark. So this thing is basically a question mark. It is the question marking particle, if that gave it away. So, 例文, example sentence, 彼は学生ですか? Is he a student? So if we just said 彼は学生です, you might recognize that sentence from some earlier lessons. 彼は学生です. We are just saying he is a student. If we add か onto the end, we are turning that sentence into a question. So you can think of it as either literally just saying the sentence in a questiony tone, or you can rearrange the sentence to, is he a student? Whatever suits you. I don't have the answer for what works for you. So, 彼は学生ですか? Is he a student? 彼は学生ですか? He is a student, etc. So practice. If you're on my website, you can do the full one of these. It's just kind of like rearranging the sentence just to make sure you have a good idea of sentence structures in Japanese. I'm going to give you a really, really big hint for this one. It always goes at the end of the sentence after the des. I know we've said before des goes at the end. There's a few exceptions. There's a few particles. Even when we get onto more complicated sentences, like two conjoined sentences, you can have a des halfway through there. Not literally halfway through the sentence, but at the end of the first sentence, conjoined to a second sentence. But in this case, yeah, we can put the ka particle after the des ka. It's never going to be ka des. That does not work. Des ka. Ka is going at the end of your sentence, like a question mark. Okay, how are you? We will go over some more of these question sentences in a moment, just as a note. We're going to go on to how are you straight away now. So, genki desu ka? Let's look at asking how are you in Nihongo, in Japanese. You may have noticed the word genki in today's word list. If you've not done the vocabulary lesson, I recommend going back and doing that lesson first. You don't have to, but it just goes over all the vocabulary you should be learning for this session. So genki means to be well, and is used to ask people if they've been well upon seeing them. Let's dive in. Today we're going to look at 3 sentences. So basically, just as a note, it's like, how are you? So first we have genki desu ka? Are you well? Second we have o genki desu ka? Are you well? Thirdly, we have genki desu, I am well. So genki desu ka? Are you well? O genki desu ka? Are you well? Genki desu ka? Genki desu, I am well. You can see the spelling for this up here. After I put the spelling in, I just wanted to do it all in hiragana to get used to seeing the hiragana. As you can see, we have 2 similar options for are you well? Either can be used, however, in Nihongo, there are a few words that you'll come across as we study. Anyway, what's happening here? You have a few words that you can add or and go onto the front. It's just kind of to show an extra level of politeness. It's important to note you cannot, that is definitely spelt wrong, you cannot use ogenki when responding that you are well. So you can't use it for yourself. You can only use it when you are asking the question, are you well? That is why we have 3 sentences up here, not 4. We have genki desu ka and o genki desu ka, because you can say o genki desu ka when you are asking, are you well? But you can't say o genki desu for I am well. You can only respond genki desu. I mean, like, if you're not well, there's some other responses, but we'll get onto that in a moment. An important part of Nihongo is honoring the person you're speaking to, rather than yourself. So you're not really meant to big up yourself. You're meant to be quite humble. Adding ogenki when replying I am well would be honoring yourself, which is frowned upon because you're saying I am honorably well. Like, if you're saying, you keep in mind, or isn't literally honorable. I hate translating it to that, but that's kind of like what a lot of the textbooks call it and so on. It's honoring. So when you're saying ogenki desu ka, you're saying are you well, like in a kind of like respectful way. However, if you say ogenki desu, you're saying I am respectfully well. It just does not work. As we go along, you'll learn many features of Japanese language involve being humble. So, for example, you're going to notice not actually allowed to say what someone else wants. They've got a complete different grammar point for saying what somebody else wants versus what I want, which is very, very interesting because you don't know what someone else wants. Like, you're not inside their head and they don't want to speak for someone else. Just a very interesting part of the Japanese language. To be fair, I think we do something, or we can do something similar in English where we might say, I think they want this, I think they want that, etc. But yeah. Example, dialogue 1, some of it is in Romaji because we haven't covered those characters yet. But yeah, let's go. So we have Teya, Leila-chan, genki desu ka? So, are you well, Leila? Leila, hai, genki desu. Genki desu ka? Teya, hai, genki desu. So we have one person saying, hey, are you well? We have Chan, we're going to go over that eventually, but it's just kind of like a nice, cute respect. It's just a way of saying like they're friendly. So my friend Layla, are you well? Kind of thing is what's happening here. Layla replies, yeah, I'm well. Are you well? And Taya's like, yeah, I'm well. Weird. It's kind of a boring dialogue, I'm not gonna lie. But it is important. Yeah, we need to know this. We then have example dialogue 2, which is maybe a bit more interesting. So Layla here is saying, Ohayo gozaimasu, sensei. So, sensei, ohayo gozaimasu. Like, hello, good morning, teacher. O genki desu ka? So here we have o genki. She's speaking to someone of higher status than her. So she is saying o genki desu ka? Keep in mind in dialogue 1, they're friends. We can suss that out from the fact that Teya is saying Leila-chan. Another point is, honestly, if you're friends, you'll probably talk a bit more casual than this. There's quite a few formalities in the first dialogue, like des in itself is quite formal, but it's just for now. We've not done casual speech. Sensei then says, Ohayo gozaimasu. Hai, genki desu. And then he says, genki desu ka? He's speaking to a student. He doesn't need to be particularly formal to them. He doesn't need to say o genki desu ka? It depends on the person though. There's teachers that will definitely say o genki desu ka just to be polite back to the student. There's probably teachers that wouldn't, it all depends on the person. Later then says, hai, genki desu. I was also thinking when I was writing these dialogues, could I just respond with hai, o genki desu ka? Hai. Yeah, you could. Just feels very short. Okay, we're going to study other replies in the future. However, like in eigo, like in English, if you reply with I'm not great to how are you, people might inquire as to why you're not great, and we need a higher level of Nihongo to communicate that. Like, if you want to open the beans of I'm not doing well, you're going to have to explain why. And unless the reason you're not doing well is I am a student, you do not have the vocabulary yet for that, having done my lessons. Punctuation note. In Japanese, their full stop looks a tad different. It looks like this little donut, like circle full stop. Rather than a question mark after ka, we simply place their full stop still. So this is because the ka particle itself is already the question marker, so then they can just put a full stop after it. So let's read and translate some sentences. This is on the website if you want to go over them after, but we're going to go over them now because it's nice to get some practice in. So I'm going to read them to you. If you want to go on the website after, you can look at the kanji and try and read the kanji, and you can also click on it to see the romaji and the hiragana and everything. So, 彼は学生ですか? I'm going to give you 3 seconds to translate it. So, 彼は学生ですか? Is he a student? 彼は先生です. He is a student. 彼女は先生です. She is a teacher. 彼女は先生ですか? Is she a teacher? Cool. That is the end of this lesson. You're welcome to check out the website for any grammar notes. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. It really, really helps. And leaving a comment if you have any questions. And maybe like the video if you like the video. And I will be back in a few days with a new one. Thank you very much for watching.